Welcome back to digital class, and now we're moving on to the part B, which is rounding off. Again, this is something you have learned before, but I just want to do a quick revision before we move on. Now, for example, we know that rounding off question usually start with something like this. Round maybe example 74 to the nearest tens, for example. Now, what happens is that where every time we need to round off, we can actually use one method which we call as the line and circle method. Now, you might be probably teacher like wondering, teacher, what is this line then circle method? So basically, this is what happened. Now, here say what? Round 74 to the nearest tens. Now, tens means what? Tens means this one, correct? This is 10. So every time when they mention something like this, you actually put a line here. Then circle, teacher, what circle means? Circle means that you are supposed to actually circle the number behind the line. Now, once you circle this number, you need to try to assess it. Why? Now, if this number is actually less than 5, then you need to actually turn it into 0. But if the number is 5 or above, you need to actually also turn it to 0. But you need to add one more step. You need to actually add 1 into the line. Means that you need to plus 1 here. But in this case, 74, do you need to actually plus 1 there? No. So in this case, the answer is what? 70. Okay? Now, what if I change this question to become round, example, I say round 77 to the nearest 10. Now, in this case, you do the same thing. 10 means you need to underline this number and circle this. And because this is 5 or more than 5, you need to turn this into 0. But you need to plus 1 here. So 7 plus 1 is what? 8. So in this case, it will become 80. Okay, so I know that this is something you have learned before, so somehow you can get this lah. I'm just doing a quick revision. What if now I change the question to this? Be careful, round off this number, example 7,432 to the nearest 1,000. Okay, let me not choose 1,000, let me just choose 10. Maybe 100. Okay, 100. Now, in this case, then what do you do? First, again, talking about what? 100. So which one is 100? Ones, tens, 100. This is what we learned, right? So this is 100. Then we circle the number behind. So this is the number that we circle. Now we need to assess the one in the circle. Is this less than 5 or more than 5? We know that this is less than 5. So this will turn into 0. And of course, you actually need to do that also. That this also need to turn into 0. Whatever behind, all turn into 0. Now, my question is, do we need a plus 1 here? Do not need, because it's less than 5. So the answer will be 7400. Okay, so now this is what we have actually for sure learned. And this is actually does not involve decimal. Okay, this is something simple. And now let's move on to something that involves decimal. Now, let's scroll down here and look at this. Rounding off. Line and circle method. Now, here say what? Round 314.353 to the nearest whole. Now, teacher, just now you talk about nearest. Just now you talk about nearest what? It's always about a place value like 100, like tens. But what if in this case that we see something called the whole number? Then which one should we choose? If you see the one that is actually say whole number, you actually can kind of understand this as the ones. So which one is the ones? This is actually the ones, 314.353 353, right? So the ones is actually number 4 here. Then again, line and circle. So circle what? We circle the number behind. So 3 here. Now, is this 3 less than 5 or more than or equal to 5? We know it's what? Less than 5, right? Again, less than 5 means turn everything for that number, and the number behind into what? 0. So we make it into 0. So be 3, 1, 4. This becomes 0. The whole thing here becomes 0. So 314.000. And because they are mentioning about what? Whole number. We know that 314.000 is actually what? 314. So we just write 314. Let's not have the decimal since they are mentioning about whole number. That's it, and we are done. Okay? Now, how about this round 314.353 to the nearest hundreds? Nearest 10 with the TH. In this case, tens is where? We know that after the dot, the first number we call it as 10 with the THS. And 5 is actually hundreds with the THS. So since I'm underlining the 3, we will circle the 5. Now, is this 5 less than 5 or more than 5? Now, it's exactly 5. So this will be under this category. So in this case, we need to turn everything that and behind into 0. But we need to add one more step. Again, the second step is to do what? Is to add 1 into the underline part. So it means that I need to plus 1 here, then the rest becomes 0, So in this case, it will become 314.400. And again, since I want nearest tens, means I don't want this 0 behind. So it will be 314.4. Then we just stop here. Okay? Now, sometimes they will not use the word like to the nearest 10. They might change the question. Let me just change the question a bit for you. We say, give your answer in 1 decimal place. Now, if 1 decimal place, it will be something like this, 314.4. This is called 1 decimal place. So sometimes they don't use the word turn it or round off to the nearest 10 with TH, as in this case they will say give your answer in 1 decimal place. But you need to know that it actually means the same thing. Okay, it means the same thing. Tens is actually talking about the first decimal place, right? That's why it works the same way. If they use the word to the nearest hundreds, the equivalent will be what? 2 decimal places. Okay, so it works the same way here. So as you can see some of the examples here, and you can try it out and let me know whether you need help or not. Okay, so I think that's it for our study for this rounding off. If you still feel confused, feel free to look for me and discuss about it. Okay, and that's it, and thank you. See you. Bye bye.